Whether you look at this from a perception or a reality point of view, what good did that tweet do Tony Khan, AEW, or the talent in AEW last night?
I can get away with that type of trash talk with someone on Twitter because I don't have so many investors and all these different eyes looking at me. People trying to invest into your company and they see your social media presence, it doesn't look good. So there's levels to how you should move on social media.
I have seen nobody complaining about Hook, and I've seen tons of people mocking the idea that Jinder Mahal is getting a title shot. So I saw that tweet and I was like, what are you talking about? Where is this happening?
What is up? We are Wrestling Maniacs out there worldwide. I'm the host with the most, Mr. We Are Wrestling himself, the best one, Donnie, here back with a brand new episode of Hot Takes, where I give you guys my hot takes on things going on in the pro wrestling world. If you're not a We Are Wrestling Maniac yet already, and you're not a part of the thousands of subscribers, we recommend you to hit that subscribe button now, turn on the post notifications. Videos be coming out of nowhere like an RKO, and of course you already know the grind is real. And a couple things before we dive into this week's episode of Hot Takes, and it's a hot episode. First and foremost, We Are Wrestling. We just joined Patreon, so if you're looking for ad-free content, if you're looking for exclusive content, bonus podcast, and lots of awesome things, highly recommend you guys go subscribe to the Patreon page, because if you become a We Are Wrestling Maniac tier, which is only $3 a month, you have a chance at winning a WWE Elite 106 Jey Uso figure. Yee. So, with that being said, now let's get into our topic for this week's episode of Hot Takes, because it is a hot one. And I believe I already covered this in the previous episode of, Tony Khan's Twitter tantrums, but it looks like we have to talk about it because everybody in the pro wrestling community is talking about what happened yesterday with, Tony Khan and Jinder Mahal. Man, Jinder Mahal, I gotta say, the last couple weeks, he's had a legendary run. Being a part of, the most popular segment in WWE history that has broken, social media records, which previously was held by CM Punk's return at Survivor Series. Him and The Rock, absolutely killed it. And now, Jinder Mahal is getting himself back in the main event title picture, challenging Seth Rollins for the World Heavyweight Championship next week on Raw. And oh man, there's been a lot of drama going on. So, in case you don't have X or Twitter, I'm going to give you guys a scoop, and I'm going to keep all you guys in the loop. So, here's how this all started. USA Network and Fox, for some reason, Fox and USA, whenever they go on Twitter, they always love to just stir the pot. And I find it pretty amusing. I find it entertaining. Especially, with the rumors of, WWE going on to a newer network later on in 2024. So, USA Network tweeted, what was the cage match ratings? And in case you guys don't know what that means, pretty much, Tony Khan and AEW, Dave Meltzer, a lot of the times when they get their analytics, when it comes to their wrestling ratings, they go by cage match ratings. So USA was taking a shot at AEW. So, in Tony Khan fashion, he replied, and he said this: a moral victory for USA is one more win than their world title challenger Jinder Mahal has in the past 364 days. Because it's literally been a full year since he won a match. You really put AEW in our place, getting Jinder Mahal in a big match on your TV show. Do it more often. And then Tony Khan tweeted, a double standard at Hook, 28-1 career record on winning streak, calls out the champ, a logical challenge sparks online outrage. Which a lot of people have been, frustrated with the way AEW has been booking their shows lately, because it seems like they want to go down the storyline route, but then they also want to go down the New Japan Pro Wrestling route and focus on the sports side of it. But it seems like they really can't make up their mind, so a lot of the fans are, very lost when it comes to AEW's, booking decisions as of late. And Tony Khan also said, Jinder has literally lost every single match he's been in for the past year. Immediately gets a title shot. Where is the rage? Hashtag AEW Dynamite tomorrow on TBS. And before we get into the rest of, some of these tweets that have happened, yesterday, because everybody in the IWC, oh man, everybody was going crazy on there. Is Tony Khan wrong for what he posted? Absolutely not. Because it doesn't make any logical sense why Jinder Mahal is getting a championship shot at the World Heavyweight title. What also doesn't make sense that a lot of people aren't talking about is the Royal Rumble is literally 2 to 3 weeks away. And Seth Rollins doesn't even have a challenger at the Royal Rumble yet. And usually, the Royal Rumble, you always want to have, both your world champions, Roman Reigns right now, and Seth Rollins defend their titles to, really get that road to WrestleMania feel going on. And they haven't really done that. And they did throw Jinder Mahal, in a random match. Tony Khan isn't wrong for what he's saying. Me personally, I am happy that Mahal is getting more TV time. Would I have him go for the World Heavyweight Championship immediately? No. Because the past, couple years, he's been chilling and catering. He's been, getting squashed by, other guys that WWE wants to push. And I would have had him at least get some matches, some wins on Raw, and then build up that dominance and really go back to, 2017 Mahal, the one that, won the WWE Championship. And I have been, a pretty big fan of Jinder Mahal. I actually was one of the few that enjoyed his WWE Championship run. And I'm happy he's getting this opportunity to be on TV. But am I happy that Seth Rollins is having another random match? We have no storylines or angles leading to the Rumble. Absolutely not. Tony Khan's not wrong, because Hook, he's only lost one match in his AEW run, and that was the Jungle Bitch, Jack Perry. And it makes sense that Hook is getting a championship shot, but what about Darby Allin and Sting, who have been teaming for the past couple years, haven't lost a tag match, yet they're not getting tag team championship title shots? And that is why, a lot of the times, guys, I would come at AEW for months about their stupid rating system that they were doing every week. They had a rankings, and that's how they determine number one contenders for the champions. And a lot of the times, it didn't make sense. Also, let's talk about Hook a little bit, because me personally, I am a fan of Hook. And the one problem that AEW has is they have the talent, they have the stars to really compete against the WWE, but Tony Khan keeps doing this bullshit. And Hook, a lot of people are outraging because they don't like the way he's been booked on AEW for the past couple years. Ever since, Team Taz broke up, Hook, he's just been, in random squash matches, and he hasn't had a real program, something that the fans could get invested in. And I could tell you some of, the wrestlers right now that AEW fans are invested in, that they're not putting their chips on them. Perfect example, Swerve. Swerve Strickland, right now, he is the most popular AEW star right now. Let's talk about the Acclaimed, they were so over with the crowd. I remember, All Out happening, and they went against Swerve and Keith Lee, and they didn't pull the audible when they should have pulled the audible because the fans were behind them. These are the stars that AEW needs to invest in. A lot of us fans in AEW do love Hook, but he hasn't had a real solid storyline besides Jungle Boy. And that wasn't even that good. I feel like, it's tough because Tony Khan, right now AEW is really stuck between, they want to go down the New Japan Pro Wrestling route, doing the tournaments and, focusing on the pro wrestling and, treat it more like a combat sport, which I think in 2024 could actually work. But at the same time, they also are trying to compete with WWE and do, sports entertainment storylines. And it's like they can't make a decision. And it's really got a lot of the AEW fans divided at the moment. But Tony Khan isn't wrong about what he's tweeting. But now here's where Tony Khan is wrong. And I think a lot of you guys will agree with me on this. If you're just another superstar, by all means, go on Twitter, tweet. But we're talking about the CEO. We're talking about the owner of All Elite Wrestling, Tony Khan, going on a tantrum. And then there's fans, defending him, saying,
well, doesn't he have a right to, say what he's got to say?
Yes, of course, because we all have that freedom of speech. But when you're the CEO and you're going on this right here, and you're, posting just more tantrums and just starting unnecessary bullshit and not focusing on your own product, which, has, declined in ratings the past year, and you have a lot of fans divided, and there's just a lot of controversy going on, the last thing you should be worrying about is what WWE is doing. You need to be focusing on your product. Let the superstars post what they want to post. Let them go on. But do you see Triple H? Do you see Vince McMahon? Do you see Nick Khan posting tweets when something's not going their way? Absolutely not, because a lot of that stuff they keep behind closed doors, and that's why WWE, they're in the position that they are in right now, because they treat this like a business. And, Eric Bischoff, I agree with some of his takes. I disagree with others. But he's not wrong when he said Tony Khan is a matchmaker. He's not a booker. And honestly, as a pro wrestling fan, as an AEW fan, as a WWE fan, I have to agree with Mr. Eric Bischoff. Because a lot of these times, Tony Khan is advertising these matches on social media when he should be using the 2 hours of television he gets on Wednesdays, the 1 hour of television he gets on Fridays, and the 2 hours that he gets on Saturdays, and even his pay-per-views, to be promoting these matches, to be promoting these segments. But he's not doing that, and it's all random bullshit, because he can't make up his mind on what he wants to do. And I love AEW. I have been rooting for AEW to succeed since day one, since the very first press conference. And I remember these words from Tony Khan exactly, and I am going to say it. We want to listen to the fans. We want to give you what you want. That was one of the biggest things that AEW pitched to us fans to, give this thing a shot. And it seems like we're really just taking steps back, and I think it goes all the way back to when Cody Rhodes left AEW. I think Cody Rhodes was very professional, and, he really kept things, very smooth. And it seems like ever since Cody Rhodes left, there's just been this void in AEW, and a lot of things have changed from, the product. And it's so sad, and it really does make me sad. I'm still, enjoying AEW. I'd be lying to you if I said, you know, I'm enjoying this AEW more now than I did before. And honestly, like, it's sad because AEW had so much momentum, and they have one of the most stacked rosters of all time. And Tony Khan is just all over the place. He needs to build a team to, you know, write these shows. He needs to build a team. And the problem is when you're going on Twitter, you know, throwing these Twitter rants, you're, you know, sitting there at the press conference, you know, with your, you know, superstars that, you know, when you're making it about you, that's where the problem is. I think Tony Khan just needs to take a step back, and he needs to, you know, just do his job and, you know, focus on building AEW up. And I think if he does that, especially with the roster that he has, I think that AEW could be a threat. But they just need to continue to focus on what they're doing. But that's not all, because, you know, throughout the day as well, like yesterday on Twitter, Jinder Mahal even, you know, posted a tweet, which he later deleted the next day, saying, "Who TF is Hook?" Watch Monday Night Raws on USA Network, Monday 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And, you know, of course, Jinder Mahal, you know, deleted it later on. But he got a lot of people talking and rooting for him, because this has been an ongoing issue for, you know, the past couple years with Tony Khan. And you're putting more attention on WWE by mentioning Jinder Mahal. And now you're going to have more people invested in Mahal versus Rollins that hasn't even had a logic storyline, more than the potential of a Hook versus Samoa Joe match that us fans know could be a 5-star match. But people are now going to just brush that off, and they are going to be more invested in Mahal versus Rollins. And now you're going to have more people jump the WWE ship when the momentum right now is on WWE's side. This is really not good for AEW, and even their own stars are getting frustrated here. And there's been, you know, plenty of AEW guys that have been on Twitter when Tony goes on these rants, and they just post disappointment emojis. It's not good what he's doing, and yet he's fining these, you know, wrestlers if they post, you know, controversial things, you know, having Bryan Danielson do it. Where's the double standard there? He talks about a double standard, yet he can go on Twitter, you know, say whatever he wants, but if somebody, you know, God forbid, says something that he doesn't like, he gets to fine them. They get in trouble. Where's the double standard with that? And here's a couple examples that I do want to talk about when it comes to the championships, because let's be real, there's always a time in pro wrestling where the booking, they get lazy and you throw random title matches. Back in the day with WWE, I remember Carlito's debut. He didn't even have a match yet on SmackDown, and he got a shot against John Cena for the United States Championship and won it. Yet, you know, Jinder Mahal, you know, gets a random match, you know, next week on Raw. AEW, and like Tony Khan's talking about how it's, like, where's the logic with Jinder Mahal getting a title shot when Tony Khan gave Ricky Starks and Eddie Kingston a shot at the TNT Championship in Cody Rhodes' Open Challenge? They didn't earn a title shot. Because, of course, you know, Tony Khan took shots at Jinder Mahal, who, you know, hasn't earned a title shot. This one, you know, fan, Mikey, you know, tweeted this, you know, to Tony Khan's, you know, post, saying, "Tony forgets that he literally gave Abaddon a title shot after being off AEW TV for over a year. The same exact situation as Jinder." Which, you know, Tony Khan, of course, you know, replied, because Eric Bischoff asked if, you know, this is true, Tony says, no, at Eric Bischoff. Not true at all. Abaddon returned to AEW, then they won a 4-way match on TNT against other great wrestlers to earn a title shot, which is completely different than someone going on a full year losing every match they're in, plus getting a title shot without a singles win. Which, Tony Khan, like I said, isn't wrong, but Abaddon literally had like one match coming back, and she automatically gets a championship match. When it comes to pro wrestling, that's the example I'm trying to make. There's a lot of times where, there is lazy booking and you get random, matches. You get, random moments. Ricky Starks, Eddie Kingston, literally their first match was for the TNT Championship. How did they earn that title shot, Tony Khan? And you wouldn't be having all of these fans trying to get all these receipts if you just didn't go on Twitter. And it's so unfortunate because right now Tony Khan is the one that's killing his own promotion. And it sucks because I always say this on the We Are Wrestling podcast, which you can check out every Saturday, new episodes, wherever you get your podcasts or over on the channel. I always say this, I want pro wrestling as a whole to succeed because at the end of the day, it gives me content. It gives me something to talk about. I love professional wrestling. I love sports entertainment. And AEW has done a lot of good for this business because I think a lot of the things right now that's going on in WWE wouldn't be happening if they didn't have competition. And especially with TNA this Saturday, which I will be doing a live watch along for Hard to Kill, they're going to be starting to pick up a lot of momentum. That's why Tony Khan needs to get his head out of his ass and start focusing on rebuilding AEW. Because pretty soon, I think, TNA Wrestling, they're going to get those ratings up and they might be taking back that number 2 spot. And I think a lot of people are not talking about it. I'm going to be the one to open up that discussion because right now, everything that TNA Wrestling is doing is fantastic. They got everybody talking about them in such a positive light, something that they haven't had, since 2010. This is, great for professional wrestling, and that's why I want AEW to strive, I want WWE to strive, and I want TNA to strive, New Japan, MLW, NWA, even, the independent wrestling shows that get 10 fans there. I want wrestling as a whole to succeed because this gives more jobs to, very talented men and women who, sacrifice their bodies for our entertainment. And I want AEW to succeed. That's why I want Tony Khan to just stop going on Twitter. Unless it's promotional stuff like, tonight's Dynamite, what he posted earlier today. AEW, is going to be at Daly's place, back home. Hope to see you guys watch the show. That's fine. But stop comparing yourselves to WWE. Stop doing that because you're just showing that you fear them. And I did find this tweet also from a We Are Wrestling Maniac at Jody, and I do want to read this. She said, look, AEW has some amazing talent. I respect the talent, but I would like to see Tony Khan put half as much effort into the talent that he does trash-talking WWE. Unstable leaders create an unstable product. Just my own personal opinion. And I couldn't agree more with her because Tony Khan even tweeting at Eric Bischoff when he just put a clown emoji and then puts, this, GIF, get out of my sight, you miserable has-been. You're just giving more attention to Eric Bischoff. And you're going to get more hate because of it. Because you're showing that, we're getting under your skin. And I think, that's all I gotta say. This might be one of the longest rants in Hot Takes history. But let me know in the comment section below your thoughts on all of this. Tony Khan, WWE Jinder Mahal situation. Let me know down in the comment section below. If you guys enjoyed, this week's episode of Hot Takes, make sure to smash that like button now. If you're not a We Are Wrestling Maniac yet already, subscribe, turn on the post notifications. We have lots of content coming out in 2024. If you want to go the extra mile and you want exclusive content and, a chance at winning a WWE Elite 106 Jey Uso, go check out the Patreon page. We have lots of awesome things coming out over there. You get every single video ad-free. You do not have to deal with the ads, and I'm one of them that, does not want to pay for YouTube Premiere. And for $3, you can get ad-free stuff, and you can, get bonus podcasts and get featured on, future videos. But to all the We Are Wrestling Maniacs out there worldwide, we are taking over. Peace.